selfishly, we need aluminum in this country. We don't have it. We get it all from Canada for the most part, and we need it badly.
And President Trump and I personally talked about the aluminum plant and its importance for national security purposes and economic growth purposes. From a creation of thousands and thousands of jobs perspective, the administration shared with me that the total economic output of the ecosystem that we'll build around that is $25 billion. That's more than 10% of our economy. And then on the national security front, I grew up in a military family. My dad's a Vietnam veteran.
Right.
My brother served in Bosnia. Right now, my nephew, Evan, is a Black Hawk helicopter pilot.
Really?
Those helicopters need aluminum. Our fighter jets need aluminum, but China controls the majority of aluminum in the country, and the Trump administration shared with me that we haven't had an aluminum plant in 50 years, and we need to be producing our own aluminum.
Here's the economic reality. You can't just flip a switch and make aluminum out of thin air. It takes enormous amount of cheap hydroelectric power to refine it. And Canada has the hydropower, especially in Quebec, which is why they dominate the market. The US, us, we literally rely on Canada for everything from auto manufacturing to basic consumer goods. So what are we really doing? Why are we pushing away our closest ally like Canada after decades of friendly trades? I mean, is this what we really want? We are isolating ourselves from the rest of the world slowly, just one tariff at a time. And it's not looking too great. Like, what does the country do when we're self-isolating? I mean, sure, we were promised that we're going to make everything in America, but are we? I mean, we're literally importing beef from Argentina. We can't even self-rely on farmers in the United States. We have to import it. Come on, enough with this joke. And now Prime Minister Mark Carney saw the drop coming from a mile away. And when the US demanded massive concessions with zero upside, Carney didn't bow. He literally just walked away from the negotiating table. And now Canada is fighting back with dollar for dollar. And, who do you think these tariffs are going to hit? They're not going to hit businesses. They're going to hit consumers. We, the ones who pay for it. And what sucks is that, Canada already made it crystal clear. If we want Canadian raw materials, the American people and consumers are the ones who are going to pay a heavy premium for it. Okay, wait, hold on, because we literally just got the other side of the story. For the first time, the US has given their account of why these stocks actually collapsed. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer just went on CBC with Rosemary Barton. According to Greer, the U.S. felt very, very confident in the deal they had struck late Tuesday night.
On aluminum, you go down from 50 to 25. Steel, 50 to 25 for most of what's sent here. On derivatives, taking down 25 to 10 percentage points off of it. That's all the case. When we got down to talking about what the text could look like, our Canadian colleagues, they told the word they used was concerns, right? I won't go into too much more detail because we are trying to respect the confidentiality we extend to each other. In their view, they thought it might be fair to say they believe the implementation of our agreement that they disagreed with. But in our sense, when I say I'm giving you the best deal possible, let's take your idea of Fortress North America and work with it. We can put to the side things like discoverability and a variety of other things, and we can soften language here and there. To me, there was an agreement. There was a way to get to it. I don't know what ended up happening. You read things in the press about premiers and different things like this and politics going on. I don't know. All I know is this was Canada's had the best deal. We offered an even better deal. Yeah. It would have been a springboard for future progress for us. And now that's gone away.
I mean, it's a better deal than what
happened, than yesterday. But it's not a better deal than when CUSMA itself was being respected by the United States, which is not the case now, Ambassador, as you know. And one of the things that Prime Minister also raised was this issue of reliability. He points to the fact that other countries have made deals with your country. He said it looked like they were signed on pencil because they've changed overnight. So why would Canada sign a deal without even any guarantees that you would continue to respect the deal, given that you haven't respected CUSMA?
So which deal is that we haven't respected that we've signed over the past year? Like, I'm just not familiar with that. I mean, we have made
you've added tariffs.
a dozen deals.
Yeah, you've added tariffs. I'm talking about Canada. You've added tariffs, right, above and beyond the free trade agreement, and that sort of contradicts what a free trade agreement is, of course.
So we have USMCA. And we built into it a 6-year review because in our view, you can't just sign an agreement and never revisit it. If you have it eternally, like if I'm a business person, which we try to be in the American government, we try to think about what's good for workers, what's good for companies. You don't have an agreement that just goes on forever without ever being revisited. We have not renewed USMCA. USMCA includes specific exclusions for national security measures. And so steel, aluminum, autos, these are all national security measures for us. That fall within the exclusions within USMCA. So we're doing what's right for the United States. We've offered to bring Canada along. Wasn't good enough for them, and so we are where we are.
So what will it take to get back to the table, Ambassador? Who makes the first move here, in your mind?
Well, the Canadians, put out a press release saying they were suspending the talks. The Canadian side is proceeding with additional retaliation and a variety of things like that. So it's not clear to me on that front. I mean, the reality is we have a trade policy. It's global in nature. We're proceeding with it. If there's further retaliation from the Canadian side, we of course we're not going to just sit down and take that. Our view is don't retaliate. But I know that I know how people are feeling in Canada and what they think. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we have our own trade policy, and we'll proceed with it in the way that's best for the United States.
You say you know how people feel about it in Canada, and I'm sure you've seen things and you've heard things. But Canadians are, I think, rightly very frustrated and upset that it has come to this with our closest trading partner and neighbor, particularly frustrated with some of the rhetoric from your boss. Even a meme today from the White House Instagram account of an eagle attacking a Canadian goose. I mean, does that not kind of make it harder to get a deal, to get to a place where people can actually make some sense of what this relationship is going to be going forward?
I would just say my job is quite narrow, and on the trade relations, it's quite narrow, right? It's about economics. And again, we have a situation, we have a global trade policy. Canada is the only country to retaliate against us besides China. And even with China, we've kind of settled out. So really, it's just Canada at this point. Canada has banned the sale of liquor and spirits. We haven't banned anything from Canada. They've capped the type of autos we can bring in. They've banned certain goods and services from procurement in the provinces. Again, we've never done these bans. It's quite extreme. But maybe
Ambassador, Ambassador, would you have expected Canada just to sit back and take it? I mean, you're a businessman. That's not how business is done. You just accept something that's imposed on you?
Well, no, that's why we're having a negotiation. That's why we had a negotiation, and we agreed, fine, we understand you want a better, you have the best situation and you want it to be better. And so we did that. If you look at every country in the world, I mean, we've got countries that have 250 million people, trillion, $2 trillion, $4 trillion economies, big economies, the EU, who we've been able to come to terms with. And I'm not saying people like it, I understand that, but I'm doing what's right for America, other countries doing what's right for them. And anybody who has some kind of a trade dispute or something, eventually it ends in a negotiation where you settle out and each side thinks like, well, I would have rather had this, but you find a compromised position. And we're not there with Canada.
Okay, I'll just quickly end. Are you still talking to Minister LeBlanc? Are you hopeful?
And he claimed that they offer Canada the absolute best deal available to any country on the planet. And then you've got Trump in a hot mic basically destroying his own talking points, admitting that we need Canadian aluminum or our own manufacturing is literally cooked. And we're witnessing a completely unhinged, high-stakes economic warfare playing out in real time. And nobody's hiding behind PR statements anymore. They're just swinging the entire illusion live on television.